So as soon as you guys are ready, we're gonna bring Todd up and start with the 72 touch. Did everybody get a copy of the handout? So without further ado,
If they did get it online, you'll give to them, right?
yeah, we can make sure that we get a copy of this uploaded and sent
I will
online.
do that right now.
Okay.
All right.
Good. All right.
Thanks, Todd.
Let's make this happen. All right, man. That was a lot of energy in that meeting. Holy moly. A lot of Keller Williams office. I haven't seen that in a long time. So you guys should be very happy you have that kind of energy in the room. Okay, so because of all the carbs and the chicken wings, no one can go to sleep on this, okay? This presentation, I've done this around the country. I've done it several places, and I'm giving you just a taste of just some ideas, right? And we've already had a conversation. Where's Lori? She goes, how are you touching everybody 72 times? I said, maybe I'm not. So that's why I want to have a conversation with you. So today, one of the conversations we're going to talk a little bit is helping all of you understand the purpose of a flywheel in your business. The reason I put this picture up here, this is how I feel every day going through my day. Generally speaking, I'm like, I always think I know what's going on, and I don't. I absolutely don't, right? And this is the brain and how it affects everything we do. The idea of this, did you guys know that Coca-Cola, everybody knows who Coca-Cola is, right? Okay. I actually had somebody once say, who? And I thought, okay, you must be from a different world. Right? They believe that you will see their logo and their brand 36,000 times a year, every individual in America. And when I see that and I heard that, and that was eons ago, my wife and I said, all right, we're going to play fun. We're going to go to the movie theater. From the time we leave the house to the time we get home, we're going to count how many Coca-Colas we saw in the movie theater. We each saw approximately 30 logos just going to the movies. And this was at Christmas where the pandas were, or the polar bears were going down the hill and all that. That was nothing. The reality is the reason they can do and create that is because they're building an emotional attachment to their brand, right? We already know the polar bears come out at Christmas time, right? The ones, and that's been an icon of theirs forever. The one thing I want to tell you about this, and the reason why this is important, is the concept of an idea of building a business starts pure and simply with understanding what your business is. What are you doing in your business? Yes, I'm an agent. Yes, I'm a lender. Yes, I'm an executive of a company. Yes, I own an OP of an office. But ultimately, Jim Collins of the book Good to Great. Has everybody ever heard of Jim Collins? He's been around since the turn of dinosaurs or something. He's been around forever. And he wrote a book called The Flywheel. It's all 47 pages of life-changing information. It's an Amazon like $12 deal. I've given it to some OPs around the country, and it'll sit on the corners of their desk until they call me and go, okay, page 47, paragraph 3 changed my life. I highly advise you guys to get this because most companies, most businesses are building a flywheel. And I'm going to explain what that means to you because I've given you my flywheel for my business for the years. So my background is I've been in the business for 30 years. Some of you already know that. Been with Keller Williams now going on 24 years. So I've had a lot of opportunity to be told what to do, how to do it. You should do your business this way. You should do it this way. You should do an MRA. You should do 36 touch, all these things. But ultimately, I think we all believe and know that your business is going to turn into what you want your business to be, regardless of what people tell you. And I think that's very, very common to hear that. A flywheel is this. This is Amazon's flywheel that was sketched on paper before Amazon became Amazon. And the reason, the purpose I'm showing you this is they started out with going, we're going to lower prices for more offerings. We're going to increase customer visits. We're going to create attraction to a third-party seller. We're going to expand our stores and extend distribution. We're going to grow revenues for fixed cost and back to the beginning. I would say they've been pretty successful. But whether you know it or not, a good majority of the Fortune 500 companies build their business on something this simple. So simple, it's almost crazy. So what I'm here to show you guys today is, because this is typically a 4-hour class, believe it or not, from nuts to bolts, you're all be in a coma and be asleep by then. So we're going to knock this out as quickly as possible and give you a taste. The flywheel is something very simply. Lori said to me a little bit ago, how do you touch somebody 72 times? Let's be honest, you guys have the hardest job I've ever seen. And I mean that with genuineness, because I've been around you all forever. I don't know, because the average statistic now by NAR says that the average person will buy a sell every 13.2 years. Can somebody tell me what you say to your clients for the next 13.2 years? Therein lies the problem, right? Like, I can only say, do you know somebody's going to buy or sell so many times? So how do you develop an emotional attachment to something when you don't know what to say to them when you're conversating with them? That's a very, very difficult thing to understand. You have to build something around what you're having a conversation about and for it to really, really work. What is the emotional attachment? Does somebody tell me what the emotional attachment to their business is to their clients? Why? Why would they want to hear from you? Why would they want to talk to you?
During the transaction or like
Right?
after?
What? Say that again?
Like during the transaction or after?
No, after, because this is all follow-up.
They feel good when you check in to see how their house is and
Okay.
how their family is. I don't
So
know,
how many times do you do that a year for the next 13 years?
per year.
One time? Yeah. I mean, statistically, you're supposed to call at least twice a year.
No, I'm saying like per year, you're saying?
Yeah.
How many times?
Well, so that's what I'm saying is you have 13 years before they're going to probably buy or sell again. How many times can you call them and say the same thing over? Or if you've gotten to the point in the relationship where it is connected in a way where you can say, hey, how's Johnny doing? How the dog's doing? How are you guys doing? I remember last time we talked, your husband wasn't doing well. You can have all those conversations, but to Lori's point, some people just don't care. Because your doctor's not calling you, your attorney's not calling you, your CPA's not calling you. These people aren't calling you. They don't care. They just know you're going to come back to them when they need you or when you need them, one of the two. But we are uniquely different, right? When we started 36 Touch, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Forget it. I'm out. This was like such a laboring thing to do because I'm like, what do I do? How do I have this conversation with them? And what do I say to them every time I call? Let alone having to do that twice a year, but now I got to touch them 36 times. I got to send postcards. I got to do this. I got to do pies. Good Lord. That's what I said about it, right? Because it was funny to me. I'm like, they don't even like me, I don't think. Why would I call this many times? Right? There lies the reality of your business. How do we connect with people in a way that will make it beneficial to you? The emotional attachment. I always come back to emotional attachment. So when you see my flywheel, I decided long ago that the only way I was going to create the emotional attachment was to be their everything that they could ever want in life, more than their family. And you're all like, yeah, right. How did that happen? Which I'm going to share with you in a little bit. But before I could get to that place, I had to get my head right. I had to figure out, do I really want to do this? Because if I go in halfway on this and think I want to, I know it's going to last 30 days and I'm done with this thing. I'm not doing it anymore. We've all been there, right? I'm going to give it a go world. It's like working out. I'll go 2 times. Yeah, I'm done. I finished. My 2 days is finished. I'm going to just pay my membership though for the next 20 years. Right? That's what we do. So the reality is the flywheel is the best way to create some sort of energy behind your business. And we're going to talk about this in the end. So I'm giving you a picture. We're leaving it. Okay. The first thing I came to the conclusion of, somebody said to me, very smart person at Keller, said, Todd, what are you going to do in certain times? He goes, because those times are certain. And we've seen in the last 4.5 years, the most certain market that I've ever seen in 30 years. And I can even date that back to the 1870s. There's really been nothing like this. Not even the Great Depression of the 20s. Nothing. 2005, people say to me all the time, what did you think in 07, 08, 9, 10? Was this even compared? No, because at least there were short sales. We had something to sell. There was something to do. We have an issue. We have uncertain times right now. To find clients are hard. To find homes are hard. Even though it's getting a little bit better, it seems to be month over month over month. But what is it going to take to find a balanced market? What's it going to find an interest rate where we actually can call it reasonable? even though the average rate is 7.78% since 1971. All I know is what's certain in my career, in my business, is that the people that I've helped for all those years. We have about 3,700 people in our database, and that generates about 35 million in production a year, just from our clients. That's about 700,000 GCI. Somebody said, how'd that work? It just evolved into that because I believe so much in the flywheel, which I'll explain a little bit later. So we start talking about this, change your thoughts to manifest your business. Half the battle of everything we do in growing a business is mental. What do I say? Well, maybe you just take a different perspective and say, here's what I'm going to say. Here's why I'm going to call them. I always had the idea that no one could do it better than me. Tell me somebody doesn't have that syndrome. We all believe that we can do it better than someone else. If you're honest with your ego, it's not ego. It's just, I'm good. I learned very clearly that I didn't need to be the one always doing this. So for many moons, I did it. For many moons, I did it okay until somebody told me, I don't know if any of you guys know Lance Loken. Lance Loken's a mega producer down in Katy, Texas. Back in the day, he had 98 people on his team, was doing 2,700 transactions a year, was a monster. He was having a beer, and I said, how do you call those people? I just want to know how you call them. Do you like have 30 of your 98 calling these people all the time, and what do you say to them? He just looked at me and goes, why would I call them? I'm like, I don't even know what that means. What do you mean if you call them? He goes, I have other people call them. Why would I spend my time calling them? My first aha moment in life was like, I had a director of operations. She immediately took over, and she's been calling my database for 13 years. I haven't talked to a client in 13 years. That's true. Some of you are hemorrhaging right now when I say I haven't talked to a client in 13 years. But what I'm giving you is case positive is the way I manifested my business was to go, there's more than just me doing this. I can have other people help me do this. I can train people to be a better version of themselves to allow that to happen. Catherine talks to, that's my director of operations. She talks to almost 50 clients a day. Is that nuts? But she is so passionate about it. She knows everything. She knows the dog, she knows the wine, she knows everything. But it is hard for you all to do this because I have something to talk to them about all the time because of what I do for a living. But when you're talking to somebody knowing that they're not going to buy or sell for another 13 years, you're like, how do I manifest something out of that to be positive for them? Maybe not 72 touches, but the opportunity to connect with them in a more regular way to where they're always thinking of you when it's time to buy or sell, or their friends are buying and selling. Does that make sense? How to manifest that conversation. What do you believe is inhibiting you from being successful with your database? Somebody say out a few things. What's stopping you from being the best version of you making those calls?
Consistency.
Who said that? Amen. Yes. Consistency. I think we all agree with that, right? I go to the gym for one day, I'll take 2 weeks off, go back for another day. You know, it's one of those type of things. What else?
Lack of time blocking, but the same thing.
Okay, consistency. Right?
Not knowing what to say.
Not knowing what to say. Does anybody call their database, and I'm being very, very transparent, does anybody call their database so they believe on a high level all the time? Are you very regular with it? Okay, that's fair, because anywhere I've done this, it's been the same thing. That's why it drives Gary nuts, right? It's like, I don't understand what's so hard about it. Well, you go call 181,000 of your agents, right? It's kind of the same thing. And I say that laughingly because he would laugh at that too, because there is some sort of flexibility in building your touch program. Yes, it's 72 touches. Yes, it's a lot of ways of connecting. If you're a person who does lots of events, you very easily can touch 72 times in a year without a question of a doubt. There were years prior to the pandemic, I would do 60, 70 events a year. It was very, very easy to connect with clients because I had nothing else to do except call and talk to them. Hey, you want to come? Blah, 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 whatever it's going to be. My greatest inhibitor was me believing that why would they want to talk to me, or me believing that I could actually follow a time block that would allow me to make time to do it on a regular basis. And then obviously the last one was no one can do it better than me because these are my clients. Well, all those were proven to be wrong. What I want to tell you is this. All it takes is one single thought for you to change the narrative of your database. I would ask you right now, if everybody got 10 referrals or 15 referrals next year, would that help your business? financially.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not talking about a scale of 100 referrals. We're talking about what could you do to change things where 10 or 15 referrals was actually doable? What would that look like? And is there a way of doing it to where you're not just flat out saying, hey, who do you know that's buying or selling? Or who you know, if you're an agent plus, that we can help with a refinance or financing a home, whatever it is. Because you know what? There's absolutely no emotional attachment to that. There is no reason for them to go, oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk to so-and-so. Or are you the first top of mind when anything comes up that they need? A single thought starts with that. But here's our problem in general. Did you guys know 75% of your thoughts every day are negative? And here's the funny part. 95% of those thoughts are repeated 5 times over every day. Who walks out here just totally exhausted sometimes? Oh yeah. Think about all the things that we do in our brain. I said to somebody this morning, I said, do you ever get up in the middle of the night thinking? And he goes, oh, you kidding? Was it you? No, I'm like, I get up so early because my brain doesn't shut off. And once it starts, have you ever gotten up and like, turn them up and then the brain starts and you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm not going back to bed tonight, right? So they say sleep apnea is an issue. No, it's not. It's our mental brain. That's just what stops us from being the better version of us because we never get enough rest. This is the frightening number. 95% of those thoughts are repetitive over and over and over again. Right? It's even terrible when I wake up, I'm still thinking of the first thing I think I wake up, it's the same topic I was thinking when I was going to bed. It never leaves the brain. So how do we overcome that? Right? Think about this. We've all heard this, right? Mind over matter. That's actually real. I talked to a brain surgeon about it. I said, why is that real? He goes, our minds are created with matter which influence our moods. Would we all agree with that? My habits. I don't feel like doing that today. I'm not going to do that today. Our behavior. How can it not if all this is being repeated in our brain all day long? What would you feel like if you had all the good things being repeated all the time in your head? Because how many people just say, yeah, I don't have time for that, or no, I'm not going to do that, or hey, I don't even know how to organize that. I don't even have addresses and phone numbers for my database right now. How am I going to do that? Because all we think about is the garbage. All the things that we can't do. And because it's bold time, you guys doing bold right now?
We are.
Yeah, the drunk monkey. That drunk monkey lives inside my soul, I believe. He's always telling me what I can and can't do, and it's not fair. But the reality is, this is real. If you say the reason I'm not growing is because of this, it's only because some of this is being adjusted based on your attitude. Think about it. We come in with, hey, we're going to conquer the day. We typically conquer it and walk out going, this was a great day. But how many times do you walk through the door and go, this day sucked. I can't wait to get home and get a glass of wine. It happens all the time. What is the relationship between your thoughts and your business? Let's talk about that. I think we would all agree that our thoughts definitely control our businesses. Because there are certain things that you believe you can do and certain things you believe you cannot do. And that's true. When technically we can do anything we want to do and at the highest level we want to as long as we want to put the effort and time into it. Can we agree with that? So why don't we? Right? We need a psychologist here right now. But that's true, is you have to answer the question is what is stopping you from creating a better version of you to allow for these opportunities to happen in your business? Because whether you think you're a business owner or not, you are. Because the amount of business, even if it's at a small amount, is more than most of the small businesses outside this door. That's true. 100%. So we start thinking about this. Think about this. I had a conversation with an office not long ago, and somebody said, what do you think is the biggest inhibitor for me doing what I want to do in my business? And I said, well, let's go down even smaller. Specifically, what your business? He goes, my database. You have a value deficiency. You don't know what to share. You don't know what to say. That means you have a deficiency in your business. Think about this. Call reluctancy. It's a value deficiency. NAR ruling, a value deficiency. I don't even know how to explain this to people. Or do I feel weird when I tell them this is what I charge for my commission for what I do? Some do. Most believe that, yeah, I don't even know how to say that. Right? Think about that. That is total call reluctance. How about showing up every day? I tell our team every day, if you show up and follow up, you will be the most successful person ever. And you will also be happy. Because you are doing the things that are necessary to show up. If I showed up to the gym every day, I'd probably look different than this. Right? If I followed up every day, I wouldn't have to worry about having business, regardless of what the market was doing or the economics of the market were doing, right? What about time blocking? Don't even get me started. All right, we all love time blocking so much we just live by it religiously every day, right? Yeah, see, you're all laughing because it's a deficiency. What if I just time block? Because the problem with time blocking, everybody thinks I got to time block 100% of my day. You have to time block 30% of your day. And just start with one thing you're going to do consistently every morning is preparing yourself or motivating yourself. At the end of my day, every day at 6 o'clock, it says, know today what you're going to do tomorrow. And I cannot leave till that schedule is full. Because you know if you're showing up tomorrow and not knowing what you're going to do, you're going to exactly do what you exactly said you were going to do. Nothing. Who do I go? What do I do? How is this going to work? Right? Being uncomfortable. How many people are uncomfortable a little bit talking to your clients about the NAR? They are. I mean, there's honestly, it's out there because I'm in the conversations a lot. But what else makes you uncomfortable? How about calling somebody you haven't talked to in 3 years and going, hey, remember me? Right? That's certainly a cause for being uncomfortable, but you only have to do it once. And if you time block, you're going to do it consistently. If you show up every day, there's no question you're going to do it. And if you get rid of your call reluctance, it's easy. Right? That's true. Business is developed because the other 4 things work. You can't develop more business if you can't do these 4 things. And what's affecting those 4 things is back to the idea of a single thought, right? That's where we're going. Oops, sorry, went the wrong way. Apologize. Value deficiency creates fear. That's 100% true. That is psychologically discovered. That is brain surgeon discovered. Now, whether they're right, we don't know. But the reality is we all struggle with it somehow, some way. And there's no one here that's going to disagree with that, I don't think. So somebody tell me, what do you believe you have in a value deficiency right now in your business or in your attitude or in your thoughts? Anybody know? Nobody, huh? You guys are such a good office. Right? Value deficiency is to me the simplest of things. I had a value deficiency this morning. I'm like, I hope I make it back tonight to Chicago. Because the last 2 trips I've gotten here, I've not gotten home. Right? And I laughed about it, but then I'm like, I'm serious. I don't know if I'm meant to come back and forth from Minnesota. Value deficiency. Think about this. How do we overcome value deficiency? Can I ask you a question? Do you really know who you are? You should, but have you ever spent time understanding who you are and who you want to be and how that's going to impact what you do every day? I said that to somebody once and I've got in trouble for it because they quit doing real estate. And I'm like, I didn't ask them to quit real estate. I asked them if they knew what their identity was. Is this what you want to do? Who are you? How is this going to make you better? What sets you apart from someone else? If I lined up 10 of you right on the wall and I sit in the middle in a chair and said, I'm selling my house. I want each one of you to tell me your value. And you cannot use a number. No numbers. You have to be able to articulate your value to me. How would you do that? What would it look like? Think about that. I guarantee it doesn't matter how seasoned you are in the industry, whether someone is new to the business or old to the business, whoever has the best value is typically going to probably have the greatest opportunity to win. Right? I've never seen a poor communicator ever lose many things. Think about that. My favorite, are you interested or are you being interesting? Is it about me or is it about them? My favorite saying, always be interested and not interesting. Because if you're really interested, they're gonna feel it, and eventually they're gonna come back and go, wait, stop talking about me, tell me about you. We've all been in that conversation before. But it's necessary, doing right over and over, doing the unexpected without taking credit. You know what my favorite thing to do is with our clients? Is this is really weird, but the minute you sign up for social media, I'm sorry, I can do whatever I want with your stuff. When somebody has a special moment, I save the picture, I frame it, I send it to them, no card. I just know they're happy about it when they get it. And you may think, that's weird, you took a picture of me with my husband eating spaghetti? Well, no, you put it out there for everybody to see, of course I sent it to you. Right? But think about little things you can do like that. I walk around the office and drop off pictures all the time in offices. Just because they had a special occasion, or they had a special moment with their kid taking their first step or whatever. But I don't need them to know it was me. I just need to feel really good about it. It's selfish. I selfishly want them to feel good because they don't know it came from me. That changes my thoughts. It changes the way I think all the time. How comfortable are you in your community? Does your community actually know who you are? Believe it or not, I talked to as many business owners as humanly possible when I was producing. I would walk right in and have a conversation. I have stories and stories about dragging agents, and this is a true story. A friend of mine, God bless him, he passed away. Great agent, did $30 million a year. It was January. I walked in, he was complaining about business. I said, put on your jacket, let's go. He goes, where are we going? I said, I'm going to go introduce you to business owners. He goes, no, I don't want to do that. I said, you're going to do it. I don't care what you think. Get your jacket on and go. He walked out. He stood where he is. I'm here talking to the, he's not even standing next to me because he's so freaked out that we're talking to a business owner and doesn't know what to say to him. That business owner set up an appointment with me. I said, I'm a business owner, you're a business owner. There's no reason my client should not know your business. How can we sit down and have a conversation about that? We walked out, he goes, okay, I was just testing you. I'll take it from here. He ruled his town. He ruled the downtown area. Everybody knew him. He knew everybody. He was like the mayor of the town in the next year. You know how much business he got from small business owners? It was so much, I can't even tell you. It was huge amounts of business. He just wanted to be a part of the community. He just didn't know what to say. Once he figured out what to say, then it changed everything for him. Now he felt like he could create the emotional attachment between him and the small business owners of this community. Right? That is the emotional attachment. If you understand who you are in this, emotional attachment's easy. It's very, very easy to get people attached to you. And what I mean by that is this. Do you guys know what 387 means? No, you don't, because I didn't tell you yet. But this is really a cool story. Does everybody know Mark King? No? Mark King was president of Keller Williams. Now he runs a coaching company. I think Alexis talked about Mark and what he was going to do. Mark is legit. He was a producer of all producers. He has so much emotional attachment to his database. So when he went to become president of Keller Williams, that number became very relevant. You know why? It's because that number was the number of clients he sold for $1 million in cash. Is your people deep enough into what you're doing and emotionally attached to enough that if we were to call, because that's what companies do to measure your business, and said, who would you choose in real estate? Would they choose you every time? 387 of Mark's clients said, I choose Mark King. Didn't even hesitate. And that was one of the huge leading indicators of determining the value of a business. Somebody paid him $1 million cash for those 387 names. Think about that. He was so influential with these people that he told them that he had a new partner taking over. That was cheap. Think about 387 people referring you business all the time, and you could actually pull out the numbers with that. $1 million is inexpensive because you'll make millions off those 387 people. If they're that loyal to one person and you're being advocated by that person, that's amazing. I promise you I'm selling my database at some point. I just will. After all the years putting into it, I know what a good portion of them are going to say. But what is your number? What is the number that you would say that you have right now that if I called them all and said, would you use Jared? We say 100%, no one else. Do you guys know that number? Do you even have a top 20 or a top 10 referral sources? 387 people for $1 million. I think we'd all take that all day long in this room, right? So why does a single thought matter? It's very, very simple, everybody. It's this. Every thought I have controls every word I have every single day. It controls my behavior, my habits, my values, and also my business. I have to choose the way I come in. Every day when I get up, I'm in the office at 4:30. Don't ever do that. It's a bad, bad habit. But I sit leaning against my car in the dark going, what am I going to do before 10 o'clock today to be uncomfortable? I do it every single day, and I've been doing that for more than 10 years. I'm down to a chicken suit in the middle of the interstate. That's my uncomfort. But the reality is, what are you doing to be uncomfortable to make you start growing your business in a way that it should grow with the people that really want to work with you? It's something to think about. You guys know what the habit loop is? Have you ever heard of it before? This is very, very, these next two slides are everything besides the last thing I want to talk to you about. Okay? How many times do you have a thought and you don't write down that thought, or you do it up in the middle of the night and you go, I write down my thoughts at night? Why do you do that? Can somebody tell me why you do that? Why? If you're willing to wake up, pick up a pencil and write it down, if I do that, I'm up, whatever time in the middle of the night it is, right? A cue is something that our brain says over and over and over again that this is important to me. It's a matter of whether you stop and think about what you're actually thinking about every single day. How many cues do you take on every single day that could change things? 1995, I had this amazing guy who was a mentor. He still follows up with me all the time, how my business is doing. And he says, I want you to write down 3 ideas for business every single day for 12 months. I laughed. I said, no. But I did it because he checked in every week to see, am I doing it? And I had to send proof. Back in those days, phones didn't have pictures, so I had to do it a different way. But think about it. If I have 365 days of 3 new ideas every day, it's very hard to figure that out, how it could be a new idea, right? But it's a cue. It trained my brain to go, oh, wait a second, this is a great idea. I need to write it down because I got to report it to somebody. A cue says, I want to build a database. Let's talk about that as a cue. Is the cue strong enough that it creates a craving that says, some way or another, I'm going to seek out somebody to help me build my database to the way I want it to be? If you can find a craving that is that desirable, it will have to have a response. It's like going to your favorite restaurant, right? How many times do you get home in the evening or Friday night and go, I just have a hankering for that meal? We do it, right? I have a hankering for fried chicken as soon as I get done here. The reality is, my craving is strong enough. Am I willing to create a response? Listen, I want to have a database. Yes, I am desperate to be able to create referrals. How desperate? I'm desperate enough that I'm going to build a system around allowing me to happen. And the only way I'm going to be rewarded from it is if I do it consistently every single day. This is what they call the habit loop. If you understand your cues and it genuinely interests you, you will always take it to craving. The determination of how good you want to be at it is how much you create a response around it. Am I willing to build a system around this that's going to allow me to be a better version of me? That was our Life of Elite. We took 36 Touch to a Life of Elite. Anybody I came in contact with, I decided I was going to build friendship. Very, very, very adamant about it. I actually had to, and this is true. My wife would say, go out and date night. Is this business night? You're going to talk to everybody in the sun, or are we actually going to give you and I doing something together? Because I would just meet the bartender. I'd meet anybody I could, I would have a conversation with. But that was my response to this. I craved it so much, I wanted to have the response because I knew the reward could be significant. And it wasn't cash. It made me feel good doing it in the community. It made me feel good building relationships because I hate lead gen. I don't do it. I build relationships. Building relationships is a definition of doing something that's mutually beneficial for one another versus lead gen hoping to sell something that they want you for. Big difference, right? So if we do this, it's this. The greatest thing I think is the nuttiest thing is we all talk about business planning, right? Done business planning here yet?
Many times.
Okay.
We got it coming up.
All right, so here's business planning. What is the first thing they say to you? What's your goal? Right? So I make my goal. I go, how are you going to accomplish the goal? Well, I have to create a process. I got to do something to get people to do business with me. And then what's going to happen is that's who I'm going to become. I'm just going to become the sales machine. I'm just going to do this and all that. I hated it so much it made me dislike doing what I was doing. And I had an aha moment with a coach. He goes, your problem is not the outcome. Your problem is your identity. I'm like, okay, that's another one of those moments. I don't know what you mean. What is your passion? My passion is people. My passion is contribution. My passion is doing things for people without them knowing. Well, that's your heart thing. So why are you creating an outcome around a heart that you don't have? You're giving me your GPS and it has nothing to do with anything that you love, Todd. So why in the world is it not working for you? Because you're doing it backwards. Let's make a list of everything you love doing. I like building relationships. I like talking to people. I like getting to know people. I love doing that. Great. That's your identity. That's my little heart. Great. There's my cue, everybody. Now what am I going to do? Well, for me to do that, I got to figure out the process that's going to lead me to building those relationships. How am I going to do it? Well, I'm just going to start knocking on doors of business and having conversations. I'm going to meet and greet people and do that. Anything I could to build a relationship. Right? There's one thing that I'm going to share with you in a moment that made this really good. But if I love it, I create a process around it. The outcome's easy. It's like you set a goal and you don't accomplish goal. What do? We change it in June just to make ourselves feel better. Right? That's true. We do that. Right? But what happens if you set a goal, you did everything you loved and you conquered all the process to get it all done, and you were still short of your goal? Would you be unhappy you didn't meet it? You can't control the economics of the market. You have no idea what's going to happen next year. I can tell you economically anything and everything you want to know what I think is going to happen next year. It may not mean that it's going to do that. Remember, in 1 year, we went from 2.5% to 7 1/8. Who expected that to happen? No one. Oh, and then it went to 8% before we got to the end, just add a little whipped cream on it. Right? If I would have based everything I did on the outcome of what was going to happen in the economy, I would have starved. Because my mindset would have immediately gone into the gutter. I can't do this. There's nothing I can do. There's no one around who wants to buy or sell. The interest rates are 8%. I didn't even know they could get to 8%. How did that happen? This is the determinator of success of who you are. Fulfilling that value deficiency. You want to do 72 touch? I don't care if it's 12 touch. I don't care if it's 20 touch. What I'm telling you is if you can find what you love and build a process around it, you will find people and work with people that love working with you. Let's not lie. How many people have done a transaction with somebody and go, when it's over, delete, never want to talk to them again? I've done that. I get rid of 3 to 5% of my database every single year. Why? You know what? They're not interacting. They've stopped interacting. There's something that's not going right. I just get rid of it. Because you know what? I want to deal with people that want to talk to me all the time, because those people that want to talk to me all the time are the ones that are going to refer more business. That's what happens. Your identity is how you're going to deliver your outcome. This is your cue. This creates the process and the craving. This gives you the results. Does that make sense, everybody? So let's look at this. How are you disciplining yourself and your people around you? How are you doing that? How are you engaging the client? Because this is where, now that we have the criteria and understand something, we have to understand how we're actually communicate with people. How are you going to find discipline to actually follow up with those people? Well, it's easy, time blocking. It's just a matter of whether you do it or don't do it, right? How are you going to discipline your thoughts? How are you going to walk in ready to have those conversations? How my director of operation walks in every day and says, I'm going to make 50 calls is so far beyond my understanding. I just don't know how she does it. But she gets joy out of it because why? These people are no longer just calling clients. They know everything about each other. But you know what? It's also her gift. She loves to chit chat. Oh my gosh. You know, we have 30 minutes and I have to call it like with 30 seconds left. So I got to have that go to the next thing in my time schedule, right? How are you going to discipline your actions? How are you going to make yourself doing it? Who's your, oops, sorry. That's telling me I got a problem coming. That means I'm running out of time on 20 minutes. Who is going to be your accountability? I used to always take a picture of my calendar and send it to my coaches all the time. Just slip, there it is, slip, there it is. Yes, I suck today, here it is. Right? That's what I did. I sent the calendar. And how are you going to build it to last? The only way I know to build something is emotion. Pure and simple. So if I say this and we come back to the flywheel here, let's talk about this flywheel for a while. Here's my database. Everybody can look at number 1 on their page. Okay. We'll get to the funnel in a second. Database is clients, partnerships, and business owners. Clients, partnerships, and business owners. Those are the people that I call the pillars of my business. Because all of them were in a different position in a different way, but I had to learn how to interact with all of them. That was my community. Number 2, how do I follow up and attract them? How do I follow up and attract them? That's something you have to decide when you're going through the flywheel. What is the attraction to you that makes them even want to talk to you? You did a transaction for them. I was talking to a group of agents the other day. We were sitting there having lunch, and I said, "Why do you go to closings?" Because that's when we get our thank yous and ask for our referrals. I said, "Why don't you just do it day one, saying, hey, listen, I'm going to be really good with this transaction. When I am, I'm going to look for you to give me a referral." Think about that. If my job is done really, really well in the front, do I really have to go to the closing? Now, this is not a topic for everybody to answer because it can turn into a war. But what I'm saying is, think about that. 1 year, 12, 13 years ago, I used to go to every closing, and I figured out, my coach said, have you ever taken the time to manage that? How many hours you spend doing that with travel and going to them? It was over 780 hours of me going to closings. And I thought, what can I do with that time? You know what? It was my problem because I wasn't creating the relationship deep enough in the beginning to get to the place to where I didn't have to do that. So I had time to make the calls to clients. That's how I created the time to do it. How do you engage them? How is it consistent and purposeful? How do you create opportunities and create attraction to you and them? This is the way I figured out to do it, which was delight. Every conversation, I asked 2 questions. At the end of every conversation, I said, before I hang up with you, I got 2 questions for you. They go, sure, what's going on? Is there anybody or anything that I can do for you today? And they just stop dead silence. Don't say a word. They go, why do you ask me that? Because I want to genuinely be able to help you. My job is community. My job is to be that person that's going to help you with your needs. And if that's not the case, is there someone I might be able to introduce you to that may help you or assist you with a problem you may be having? Like what type? I don't know. Do you have a problem or something? I paint? Clothing? What do you want? This is my web. My web is so thick right now, everybody knows it. When I have the conversation, they go, I know you're going to ask the question. I just got to say them. Is there anything I can do for you today? Or is there anyone I may be able to introduce you today that may help you solve a problem? They go, one lady said the other day, I just love you ask the question. I have nothing, but I know who I'm calling when I need something. How can you be the concierge to your client's needs? And they know that you're that person. Because here's the thing, there's your emotional attachment. Whether you call 75 times, 1,000 times, or 3 times, if they know the emotional attachment is that you can get them anything and everything they want, then who else would they call other than you? This is your story. This was a year ago or so, a year and a half ago. A guy called me on a Friday morning and goes, listen, I screwed it up. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you always say, what can I do for you? What can you do for me? I said, what can I do for you? He goes, I didn't make the reservation for our anniversary. Who do you know? Of course, pulled out the Rolodex, and there's a really nice steakhouse in Chicago called Gibson's, if you've ever heard of it. Called the general manager, said, hey, it's Todd, blah, blah, blah. How are you doing? How are things going? You guys busy? Whatever. Hey, I got a problem. I got a really good client, had a meltdown, didn't make the reservation for anniversary. He goes, just tell him be here at 7. Don't worry about it. Just talk to me. I'll take care of it. That created more referrals than I can ever tell you, and I didn't do anything except I built relationships with business owners. I was their go-to for everything. So wife now says, you just gotta call Todd. He knows everybody and everything. He'll get you whatever you need. That is my emotional attachment. That is the web that I weave with the clients all the time, and the business owners, and the partnerships that I have in business. That's that. Any one of you called me and said, I'm coming to Chicago. Where do I need to go and where do I need to eat? I'm going to tell you exactly what to do and who to ask for. Here's the greatest part about that is the greatest false forced multiplier production you've ever seen. Because if you don't know someone to solve that problem, what are you going to do? You're going to call somebody and find out who it is. I'm going to call the restaurant and I'm going to introduce myself. And I'm going to build a relationship with them to refer them business. This is it. I came to the conclusion after an entire career of building a database going, I'm an idiot. All I have to do is ask 2 questions and be their everything, and they're always going to call me before they ever call anybody else. I became an influencer in their minds. What they don't realize is they're the influencer because they're the one pushing the business to me. But I have the perception in their brain that I'm the influencer because I know everybody can get them anything they want at all times. So if you happen to ask those 2 questions on a regular basis, how would it change your business? It would change it in a very, very big way. That's where growth of the business evaluation starts. Right? Go ahead, Lisa. It's no problem.
Sorry. Thank
Don't
you.
be sorry. Don't be sorry. Listen, I am boring.
No, you're not. It's great.
I'm just messing with you. So the reality is my flywheel was such a disaster until I simplified my thoughts and my thinking on this and said, if I can do this, actually, I can find so much joy in what I'm doing. I enjoy doing it. It doesn't matter, Lori and I talking, if it was 72. If I just had that conversation twice a year with my clients and always ask those same 2 questions, or if they had a question for me, I go, all right, before we end this, I got 2 questions for you. I love the fact that go ahead and ask. I know what you're going to ask me. That's exactly right. That's the passion, because when they think of a problem now, they think of me. Are they thinking of you? Are they thinking of the emotional attachment they have to you? I believe 72 touches is probable or possible, but I think if you have the emotional attachment to that relationship, you don't need to talk to them 72 times or send postcards to them 72 times. What I do believe is if I can make them smile and I can solve their problems, I win, because even if I don't know how to solve it, I go find people that can, and now I've created new relationships every single time. So to me, this is my belief in how you start a business, is the funnel. Here's the craziest thing, guys. The reason I put this funnel in here, NAR has a statistic that says the average agent will put 24 people into a funnel a month. That's what they say, not me. Here's the funny part. By putting 24 people into a funnel, right, the big end right here, put the big end, they put them in, 2 people fall out, 1 person does a transaction, the other one says, I'll talk to you someday. So the question is, what do you do with the other 22? Do you create this environment where they're in your web, or do you just let them go? But I'm going to challenge you to take your funnel and turn it upside down. Because here's what I know. I know for every time I put 1 person, a client, a partner, or a business owner in my funnel, I drop 1 in. The average business partner has 2,500 relationships in their life. So do I want to call 2,500 people to meet 1, or do I want to meet 1 to meet 2,500? It's no different than human beings. If I'm going to put Rebecca in my funnel, I already know that she knows 150 people statistically. So if I build a relationship through my delighting, then she's going to tell her other friends about it. Just like this lady who got the reservation at the restaurant for the anniversary. I bailed her husband out, she says. But you know what? You know how many conversations she has for me on her social page? I didn't ask for it. She just did it. This is the opportunity of Life of a Lead. You just have to choose how you're going to be the engager of all their emotions. Any questions? You guys are so quiet. Normally people are throwing things at me and all kinds of stuff. Any thoughts? Jared?
So is there a system that you put this into?
Yeah.
How do you keep this in your head, or?
It's my version of command, right? So I was talking to Tom's about this a little bit, is journeys. You guys have smart plans. I call them journeys. So most time in Keller Williams, they don't know what I'm talking about when I say a journey, but it's a smart plan. I have a smart plan or a journey for every stage of somebody in the business. Meaning if they're in a database of their clients, they're on one journey. If they're pre-approved, they're on a journey. If they're a lead, they're on a journey. If they're a business, they're on a journey. All my business owners are on a journey that I know that it comes up for me to follow up with them every month for 12 months. I'll drop pizzas, I'll walk in and say hi, do whatever. But the reality is, I don't want to think, I just want the journeys to tell me what to do. And I know the easiest thing I can do is put them in my CRM, whatever it is, let's say it's Command. And if I push the button, then I don't have to think anymore. I just have to look at the screen and go, oh, I got to go meet these 3 people today. It really is that easy, right? That journey says to me, know today what you're going to do tomorrow. I know. I walk in, look at my screen, and goes, oh, I got 12 relationships I got to go talk today. I can't wait. How fun is that? That is total fun. So the reality is the journey of the SMART plan will get you to the point of going, I'm just entering people in all the time. Yeah, just doing this. And then let's tell you when to call them. It's full of SMART plans and journeys. We all know that already. Or whatever CRM you're choosing to use, if you don't have journeys in it, then I'll give you all of our journeys. We have everything written out to the T. You can have everything. I don't care. And just modify it to whatever your needs are or what you're trying to do in your business. But the important thing is don't think, just do. And the doing for me is I say that, okay, great. I'm going to go do my spiel. Right? I'm going to call them, see how life is. Okay, here's my questions. Ask them. You just don't know what happens. But it's like everything. If we hear the term Coca-Cola enough times, which do you think is more popular, Diet Coke or Coca-Cola? Diet Coke by 3 times. Yeah, it's because it has diet on it. We're all going to lose weight from the sugar we're drinking. Right? That's not true. But they already know that that's the case. They know that Todd's going to see it 30-some thousand times a year, which is so weird to me. But that is the idea of frequency illusion. Frequency illusion is being able to connect and touch with people, not knowing that they're being touched. It'd be like you posting something, and I'm just going to heart you all over. I don't know. We'll heart each other, okay? I heart you. You go, oh, that's nice. Todd hearted me. And you go into your day, and your wife goes, hey, I heard you talk about Todd lately. Oh, yeah, he just hearted me today. That's frequency illusion. You're there, but you're not. This is frequency illusion. They know I'm going to ask the question when they call. They don't ever forget it. They don't ever forget it. They just know he's going to ask it. That's frequency illusion. I've said it enough times. Now they expect it. Now, anytime that somebody goes, hey, do you know somebody? Let me just call Todd. That's all it is. Pure and simple. So building a plan is easy. Finding the people's not. But if you follow what I call my flywheel, you're going to find lots of people. Now all you got to do is put them in a system and just do what the system says every day. Because you know what most people do? I haven't had time. I'm 80 behind. I don't even know how I'm going to catch up. You know what I say? If they're not all called by Friday at noon, that means I work Saturday and Sunday. I'm never, ever not going to be touching those people. Because the minute I give myself permission to go, it's okay, I'm done. We have all had that moment where, yeah, I had great intentions. It just never worked out. The fun is, because it doesn't work out, is I have fun asking the questions. I have fun with them saying, are you going to ask questions? Yes, I am. Let's get through the conversation so I can ask them real quick. Right? You don't have to be mine. I just really discovered this was the easiest way to build emotional attachment without really having to do anything except build more relationships. That was it for me. It was very, very simple. And you know what? What's interesting, the most hard things in business are always the simplest things we miss. And the simplest thing is we're in the relationship business. We build relationships with people all the time. We are community drivers. And the only way I know to build this is to find the system, because my cue was I got to figure out a way to be emotionally attached. I was hungry enough to do it. I had to create a response that everybody was going to want to hear. There is my response. My reward is they like talking to me. They want me to call them. They think of me when their needs come up, and they send me a lot of business because they think I'm an influencer. And I always just tell them, you're the influencer. You're the one sending the business to me. Make sense? Tom, what do you think? No one wants to talk, so I'm just going to call on people. This is called ping pong, everybody. All right,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I'm wondering, do you do any canned marketing or like
any touches that you're not creating, that somebody else is creating? 'Cause I kind of find that it's useless.
Well, it's interesting. My daughter's in the social world and she helps people connect with products to build relationships. So she works with a minimum of, you have to have at least 3 million followers for her to even talk to you, which is fascinating. She calls me religiously and goes, how do you have 7,000 followers? You print nothing. You do nothing in your business. If you would just do something, you would have a gazillion people following you. I said, do I care? She goes, you're stupid. You don't understand. Yes, I don't. You want to do it for me? There's the reality. The answer is no. I don't do a lot of any of that. I write a thing called the Housing Headwinds. I've been writing it for 5 years. The way it came about was a group of agents came and said, is there any way that you can write something that could help us economically understand the most simplest way to how to do it and share it with our clients? I said, sure. I think we're on volume 250 weeks in a row or something like now I've read and sent it. But the reason I did that was also we send that to our clients, and I know the agents all send it to their clients. It started out with 4 or 5 people, and that goes to over 5,000. I have no idea where it goes. But the reality was there was no point to that other than helping the agent because they asked me for a solution, gave them the solution. The solution ended up being another referral source for me, not from the clients, not from the agents, but the clients were getting it and they would always call and ask me questions. That gave me more times to ask those 2 questions. Right? All these little things kind of work together in a weird way. But the reality is, if you create something of something once, if 3 people want it, there's probably a lot of people that want it. You just have to be consistent enough in doing it. 250 weeks is a long time to write something. It takes 10 to 12 hours a week. Think about that. So the reality is it goes places because it keeps getting shared and shared and shared and shared. To now I'm having issues where I got to start figuring out how to handle this because is this becoming a compliance issue? Like, where's the data coming from? What's coming from 27 different economists? Well, how do we source that? You can't. Go ahead and call them if you want.
Someone has their hand raised over here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Todd doesn't shut up. That's all right. Sorry. So the answer is, Tom, I don't do anything. Catherine does little things with our economic stuff and stuff, but we remind people of things or we say, hey, if you have a need or a concern or something you guys need in your personal life, just give us a call. We have people we know. We're always going back to this, the delight. You were going to ask a question.
Yeah, so I just participated in a homecoming event at my college this Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday. So I got the most leads at one time that I've ever gotten. So
Yeah.
it was an alumni thing
Yeah.
for vendors. So there were 9 people, there was a drawing. So that 9 people ticked the box of buying in the next year plus.
Yeah.
A couple were 6 to 12.
Yeah.
So kind of hot off the press, what would you do?
Oh, well, the first thing I would do, I would write them just a nice little note, nice to meet you.
Yep.
You know, one of those things. And then I would just call them and say, hey, listen, one of the things I love to do in my career, obviously I'm in real estate. I'm not calling you about that, but I'm very connected to a lot of people. If any of you ladies ever need anything or need a referral to somebody or whatever it may be, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's painting, plumbing, whatever it is, just let me know because I'd love to feed you people that I already know that are great. That's simple. Just like that. Yep. Yeah, somebody had a hand up? They're muted.
Sawyer,
Sawyer,
do you have a question?
move the mouse.
I,
Oh.
I
Oh, there you
mean, not really right now.
Okay, it looks like she has her hand up. I think that's the mouse.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Was this helpful in any way, in all seriousness?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a different perspective of looking things because this is the introduction. This next half of that would be all about how do we start building out our own journeys. So if you guys have an interest in the journeys, all you have to do is tell Tom or Tom and they'll send me your email and stuff, and I'll send you all our stuff we have. We have what we call a Fantastic 50, which those 50 people are given much more than what the others are given. But then we have all the journeys. So I'll give you anything and everything you might want. And then you can just take it, rip off and duplicate it, make it the way you want it for yourself. For sure. Anybody else? Jared, that's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
No, listen, I was my joy. Seriously. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. And if we can help anyway, just let us know. All right. All right. More chicken.
You want to jump into just Q and A's on
Oh, yeah.
Agent Plus?
If anybody, Jared, you wanted me to do a Q and A on that? Or what does
Yeah,
that look like?
let's,
You guys can all leave if you want to. It doesn't make any difference to me, but some people had some Q and A's on Agent Plus because there were rumors floating around of cost and all kinds of stuff. I don't know if anybody's interested in that. If you're not, yes, Tom.
Can you just describe to everybody, there might be some people in the room that don't even know what Agent Plus is.
Okay. Agent Plus is nothing more than the opportunity for an agent to monetize mortgages. When I ran my team, I walked away from a $100 million team to be able to do this with Keller Williams clients. Why? Keller Williams agents have been a part of my life for 24 years. Some of my best friends are in Keller Williams all over the country. And the reason I did this and we built it, not me, but us as a company built it, was along with Gary Keller, was to create a legal way for an opportunity for agents to be able to monetize mortgages to where every time they closed a purchase or had a refinance, they would get paid 0.5% on that amount. There are several people in this office that have already gotten licensed to do that. Thank you, Lori. All right, stick around for that $60, okay? Don't go anywhere. All right. So the reality to it was, in a short, we had to find out Mutual of Omaha, just so you guys know. Have you ever heard of Mutual of Omaha? It's like one of the biggest companies in the world, just so you know. They have as many more attorneys than they have square footage. They are totally an insurance company, but also one of the biggest lending companies in the country. People don't realize that. That division of Mutual of Omaha is what they call consumer direct. Do you guys know what consumer direct means? It's a lot of calling leads, a lot of calling their clients. So they have 12 million clients they call, plus they buy leads from Google and all that stuff, and they convert about $500 million a month in leads into business. $500 million a month. These people can talk like I've never seen, and they're not rude about it. It just totally stuns me. You know, and I think 2 months ago, they were pushing close to $1 billion. Right? And this is consumer direct. I don't even know how to do that. So this does not exist on my flywheel because I'm not good at that. Right? But the opportunity is for an agent is to be able to be licensed legally with RESPA. RESPA changed their guidelines in December 15, 2022. And they changed what they call the 4,000 book. The 4,000 book is 4,000 pages of their policy and procedures. Does everybody understand that RESPA actually makes the rules for all of us to be successful and not successful? Okay. By changing it, what they simply said for an agent is a real estate agent prior to that change was allowed to be licensed as a lender and also licensed as an agent. But they could not get paid on the same transaction both ways. The two sentences that were changed in this book simply said an agent can also be a lender, and they can monetize both with their commissions from real estate and their commissions from lending on the same transaction, as long as they weren't making a decision on the file, meaning you weren't an underwriter. So we have a few people, Christina, Lori just left, Brian was here, gone. So the opportunity is that you get licensed. I nurture everybody through this, just so everybody knows. You take a 20-hour class. Sounds like a lot. It's not. It's like an hour and a half a day. You take the test. Everybody goes, I don't do tests anymore. I'm too old for that. Interestingly enough, statistically, the test is 3 hours. The average agent's finishing an hour and 20 minutes. You just took the test. Was it harder? You went in with anxiety. You came out and go, that wasn't as hard as I thought.
Yeah.
That's what you said to me.
Yeah.
Okay. The reality is you're in real estate. Most of the stuff they're asking you is laws, ethics, and just general conversation. People go, I don't do math. There's 2 math problems and you get pencil and paper, guys. There's no calculator to it. So the idea is once you go through that process, then we hire you as an employee. Why? Todd, why would I want to work for you? Well, here's the reality. When Gary paid the NAR settlement, did he come after you guys for the money or did Gary pay it? Gary paid it, right? The reason we employ is veil of protection. If there's a lawsuit, your business is not disturbed because they're suing Mutual because you work for us. We pay you a W-2 wage and we pay you a 401k matched as a part of that. The other part of it is then once we start training you, then you get to pass a digital app out to a client as both being an agent and a lender. And by passing that app, The Toms help you with the process of processing that loan through the system, and you make 0.5%. So let's say you did a $300,000 closing and the loan was $250,000. That means the agent would make $1,250 off that transaction. Every single refinance. Think about this. And this is where it's going to get really interesting for you guys to listen to this because you've never had the chance to do this. Every refinance, anytime a client drops their interest rate, you can pass the app and get paid on that. The average person keeps a mortgage 3 to 4 years. The average person buys a house every 13 years. That means there's 3 refinances typically done in a transaction, whether it's related to cash out, renovation, whatever it may be. The most interesting thing part of that is I've been working on an algorithm for the last six months since family reunion. How long ago that was? I don't even remember. 8 months, whatever it is. Why? So some guy challenged me, I knew, he's a big producer. He goes, now this is all well and dandy, but listen, do you honestly think I'm going to call 30-some hundred agents and go, hey, send me your mortgage statement so I can update your interest rate in my, and he goes, good luck with that. So of course that was a challenge. We wrote an algorithm and we have 2 of your agents, Christina and Lori, where we put their database through our algorithm, and then within 1 minute, it produced all the mortgage information, verified all the addresses, and cleaned up the entire database for an agent in 30 seconds. That's true. We're testing it right now. That's why these 2 are part of it. I ran the test for 5 people down in Illinois. Here's what's going to blow your mind. Those 5 people in their database, once I was done sorting it, I took every loan over 6%. It was $174 million in business, $871,000 in commissions for them, and 453 closings. Just think about that. Our business is so uniquely different. When I ask somebody to refinance, I typically get at least 2 to 3 referrals. So technically, for every 1 transaction an agent does, I do 6 to 9, the same client on your database. And you don't get to prosper from that. So I have 4,500 closings with Keller Williams. Every one of them goes to a Keller Williams agent. It's very easy. But think about you having your database. And let's say you had $150,000 in commissions on that database of everybody 6% or above. Does that give you a few more touches to have with your clients? Who's not going to call on that? I mean, in all seriousness, who's not going to call on that? Because once we perfect this database with these 2 women and a few others, and I can give everybody that opportunity to have that clean of a database to be able to make those conversations and have those calls, you literally could make 3 times what you make in real estate. Easily. Easily. The reason I can touch clients so much is because I have that opportunity to help them with their financing. Why in the world would ever I want to do this? Because basically, to be RESPA compliant, I have to split my commission with you. Why am I okay with that? You know what? You guys gave me the database in the first place. So why wouldn't I want to embark on the journey of sharing it with you to do it together to create more opportunities for everybody in the office? It'd be completely stupid not to, right? Somebody said to me, why would you want to split your commission with the agents? Well, why wouldn't I? If I didn't work with the agents over all these years, I wouldn't have the database to start with. So why wouldn't I want to do it? What this does for you guys is elevates you in the center of the conversation where you already are to a much higher level. It is such a cool story hearing people talk about it down in Chicago, because that's where I started. Now we're starting it here in the office. You already got 2 apps out, don't you?
Yeah.
Was it hard?
No.
She's going to get paid on 2 transactions. She passed the app on it. She's working with Tom on to get them done. That's just 2. She hasn't even seen your database yet. When the database comes, I'm not sure what's going to happen. We may need to resuscitate you. I mean, seriously. So the reality is that's what Agent Plus is. It costs $550 to be licensed. Once you do 3 transactions, we give you all the money back. You have no money in it whatsoever. $550. It's not any more, any less. That's what it is. Okay. You do 5 transactions a year, you're in the program for as long as you want to be. right? Why would you want not to be? Because as soon as I give you a database that's cleaned up at some point and you start calling those people, now you're having more conversations, what we just talked about today. You have more opportunities talked about how you're going to help them with all these other ancillaries, but it also elevates you to the center of the conversation. It's really such a fun thing to hear you guys talking about it, because we had an agent who was a friend of mine that went to do a listing presentation. And she said, you know, if we go buy this house, you're trying to save money. You're going to have the same cost buying a smaller house than the big house you're living in already. Why are we selling this? He goes, well, I guess I'll just refinance. She goes, great. Here's my app. She refinanced him. He saved $600. He's in the house happy as long. She goes, that's the best experience of my life. I actually didn't have to stop at the buy or sell. I took it all the way to the end. She goes, this is like, I didn't realize I would feel giddy about this a little bit. She's pounding the phones now, just pounding it, talking to all these clients about the opportunities that exist. And you know what's interesting? That elevated her to the center of the conversation, because that's my ding. I gotta stop talking. No, I'm just kidding. So the reality is, if you can have that opportunity, why wouldn't you? That's what Agent Plus is. There were just a few rumors going around the office about cost and that sort of thing. They're not true. And I just wanted to make sure I was crystal clear. And anyone who wanted to know the answers to those got them. And if you've never heard of the program before, it's definitely worth a conversation with me, because I can show you the opportunity of income that you can make based on a calculator I built for the agents. Actually, you guys have that calculator, right? They can show you just by telling us what your average purchase price is, how many units you do a year, and what your average database size is. It'll tell you exactly how much money you could possibly make. Just that simple. All right. Yes, sir.
Very intrigued. Sounds really awesome. And it's my current understanding that Gary himself is finally pumping millions into the commercial side.
Yes, he is.
Yes, 'cause I'm a commercial agent.
Give it a high five, brother, because it is true.
When is this going to be cloned into something commercial people can use?
That's a good question. So we walk before we run, of course, but it is a conversation, because this program is for Keller, period. The program I'm working with, the algorithms, is for Keller. So the reality is, I think it's a good question. You're not the first to ask. We got a lot of commercial guys down there too. Gary is pumping money into it, and he is now this program. He, Mark, and Jason have all endorsed it, and they're talking about it in their masterminds now. Jason's talking about it on his podcast, which is the #1 podcast in the country, and Mark is using it with his coaching clients. So I think what you're starting with is these opportunities are starting to create momentum now. So I will make sure I remember that. And when I hear even a dose of it, Jared, Jen, somebody's going to hear about it soon, I would guess. But there's no reason why we might not be able to do something like this, for sure.
Then I like number 4, I'm going to start implementing that now anyway.
Yeah.
Even on the commercial side.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love to see this whole concept for the commercial.
Yeah. There's no reason why I can't. I just think we're walking before we run. That's it. There's a lot there, a lot we're working on every day, and it's just a matter of, right now, this is rolling out all over the country. Somebody asked me the other day, well, how many people are doing this? There's more agents doing it than there is lenders right now. And that's not a bad thing, because we don't go one for one, obviously, but it's growing rapidly, several thousand. And that's just the beginning. So for me personally, I think I have 49 people have either passed the test or are taking the test. And I have another 163 that are in the process somewhere of getting to that point of passing it. But the average time, somebody's going to ask the question later, you're going to think about it. The average time is, if you're one of those go-getters, you can actually do the coursework and take the test all in 8 or 9 days. The average agent is taking it and finishing in about 14 days, 15 days, and they're working on about an hour and a half a day. That's it. It's very, very simple.
What's the pass percentage of the people taking the
The
test?
pass percentage is over 98%. Over 98% for sure. If you finish the course, the best wisdom, if you're going to do this, I'm going to walk you through it, is going to say, as soon as you pass it, you got to set the test. One more study. No, you're not. Because this is not about memorizing, it's about recognizing. And most of it you'll recognize. There's a reason why the average agent's finishing this in an hour and 20 minutes. They're flying through this thing so fast, it's crazy. Because it's what you do for a living. It's not like you're coming in for the first time taking the real estate test and you go like, oh, good Lord, what am I ever going to need this stuff for? I have no idea, because a lot of it's the same thing we have to do. Yes, sir.
Do you have to be an agent for a certain amount of time before you can take?
No, we want you to at least be able to have done 5 transactions. And tell me about you. Are you new to the business?
I haven't even passed the course yet. I'm still in course 2.
Okay, so what I would say is once you get through it, then you and I should have a conversation. Absolutely. I don't want to take it away from anybody. The key is the worst thing I can do is have to say, oh, you didn't make the cut because you didn't do 5 transactions. But you know what? Think about it. If you're doing refinances and purchases, there's no one that should be able to do not five transactions. I mean, I have one agent down there has passed she has 6 pre-approvals. 4 of them are out shopping and she has 2 that are closing. I have people also, just remember here, is that if you are working with either one of the Toms in your business, if you've done 3 transactions with them, then we're going to credit you back for the money instantly. You can use those to stack up to credit the money back to you. Right? Anything I missed there, Jared? Okay. So if you're interested, the guys or Jared will give you my name and number, and I will certainly have a sit-down conversation with you just to talk to you about it a little bit more. Because everybody's going to ask, how's this work for me, or what's it look like, or whatever. Do you have a question?
You answered her question.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have questions? Commercial, I got you. What's your name?
Matthew.
Matthew, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody online? No, we saw that hand there, but no. Okay, Jared, I think I'm finished.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you
You're
very,
welcome.
very much.
You're so very welcome. Thank you guys for coming. Francesca, what is her name? Alexis?
Alexis.
All kinds of rip roaring leaving out of here. I got you guys in the doldrums in the middle of the day.
Crazy plans.
Please do.
Mothers.
She's getting ready for her house. Is that right now?
No.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Don't forget to call me once you get through it, okay? Hi. Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you. Good luck on your test. You'll all right through it.
Thank you. Pass that test, it's just the rest of the course I gotta get one.
Oh, boy. That's a lot of.
That makes 2 of us.
Oh, boy.
And then I'll be doing national and commercial.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've got 3 of them.